Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, blogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments, vlogs such as
5 Minutes with the G,
The Straight Shooting View,
Coaching with JBK,
audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Podomatic, Spotify,
Mixcloud
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and our official website www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat,
the pitch is where we sleep,
and the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
Welcome to
Coaching with JBK. Welcome. It's yours truly, JBK, with a special roundup. And I'm just going to throw everything in on this one. There's been a lot that has happened this week, and it's not just going to be from England that I speak about. So, we're going to talk about the FA Cup results that are leading into last season's competition, into this season's semi-final. We're also going to talk about the WSL and, of course, the NWSL as well. So, starting off, we're going to go with the FA Cup. It was during the week. And the first game that I'm going to speak about is Brighton and Hove Albion against Charlton Athletic. First game that I was intrigued about because it is a WSL against Championship side. Charlton are not too far off being having a nice little stroll down to Brighton, and it was just one of those games that you just know it was either going to go one way or the other. Especially with Charlton building momentum into their season, especially with their first game being cut off because of COVID issues. So Brighton fortunately won the game 1-0, dominated, but also you got to give Charlton the credit being the Championship side, not top of the table, managing to hold Brighton to 1 goal, and that's brilliant. For a Championship side, it shows the advert that the Championship sides can compete at the top with the top teams. So, give or take, well done to Brighton and Hove Albion through to the next round. I will not say who they are facing until the end. Okay. Manchester City was another game. This game was very close to start off with. Manchester City versus Leicester City. Very close to start off with. It was 1-0 for a long period of time. First half, it was 1-0. And then all of a sudden, they managed to get 5 goals. So it ended 6-0 to Manchester City. Leicester City having a tough time adjusting to the WSL, basically, the WSL level. And they will find it difficult in the first few weeks. But at some point, they will change that. And hopefully, they will change that for the good. So that we do have a promoted side, not Manchester United or Spurs, making it to the top division, making it through. Leicester City have done well so far, and they haven't really got their rhythm into the WSL league. But this might have given them a bit of a platform to go through, and they haven't been able to do that. So Manchester City, well done, 6-0. Arsenal, Spurs. Big game, this one. Both teams doing so well at the top of the table. And you were thinking it's going to be probably close. But in the end, it wasn't. So, Spurs took the lead in this one. And then from there, Arsenal managed to start scoring goals towards the end of the half, making sure that they were really putting on the pressure for a goal to be scored. So many different performances that you can take from that, and eventually it ended up being 5-1. Well done to Arsenal. Into the next round. Birmingham City versus Chelsea. Another tough game as it is. Managing to get the win were Chelsea with 4 goals. All goals scored in the second half. It was very close, 0-0 at half time, and it shows that Birmingham City can compete. But they ran out of steam, and Chelsea just ramped up the pressure, especially with the front three of Kirby and Pernilla Harder. So, with that said, well done. And the draw is Brighton away to Arsenal and Chelsea away to Manchester City. What a game. And we're going to see how this goes, because it's going to be a massive semi-final that we're all looking forward to. I've got my ticket to the final. I hope you do. Let's see what happens in that time. Moving over to the WSL. Leicester City 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. So, with that said about Arsenal beating Tottenham Hotspur during the week, Tottenham were able to bounce back and managing to get 2 goals to win the game. Either side of the halftime whistle, with time basically not getting the best of them. Williams and Addison with a goal. With a lot of games being played at the moment, I think this is going to be a significant moment for Spurs, and I hope that they are able to keep up their momentum and their charge. Saying that as an Arsenal fan, guess what? They're doing well. They're doing well, and I'm hoping that it continues. Well done to well done to Spurs. Leicester City will find their rhythm. I'm pretty sure of that. Hopefully they do, and we'll see how it goes. Moving on, we will go to Manchester City 0, West Ham United 2. Now, what a game this was. What a game this was. So, Manchester City having basically all of the ball. They basically had the ball and they just couldn't score. And it's tough, because what is happening at Manchester City at the moment is they've got quite a few first team players out. And it's starting to show. With these results, it's starting to show that the cohesion is not the same, and they're not building to the momentum that they need to get those wins. Yes, they got the win during the week, but again, against a Leicester City side that are, as we say, not in the best of forms, it's kind of easy just to get those type of wins that you do. West Ham are doing so well, and they've just shown it today yesterday, where they can get those type of wins. So well done to West Ham. 2-0 against one of the top sides from last season. Let's see how this goes. We move on. And we are going to go to Reading, Everton. Reading 0, Everton 3. Started off with a goal in the second minute. Reading are not doing so well. They've had a few losses now. So against Manchester United, against Arsenal, against Spurs, and now Everton. Not good for Reading, and I hope they start to climb the table at some point. At the moment, they're the bottom team. Hopefully, they will find their way out of this situation. But Reading, Everton, a tough game for Reading. Hopefully, they'll find now the way to go forward with the players that they have. Everton managing to now turn things around after that win against Birmingham City, with a second win, showing that they've got pedigree now, that they're really going to push towards the top echelons of the table. Maybe mid-table where they finished last season, but maybe they might have a chance this season. We might actually see a few surprises. Emsley with a goal, Anvegard with the first goal, Emsley with the second, and Turner with the last one in the first half. It was rounded off in the first half, so well done to Everton. We move on, and we're now at Birmingham City versus Manchester United. Manchester United with a heavy loss last week against Birmingham City. Birmingham City, well, they didn't lose at Manchester United with a heavy loss against Chelsea, Managing to come back, change things around, taking on Birmingham City and getting a goal in either half, which the same two players were involved in the goals. Galton, well, not the same two players, the same player assisting both of the goals. So, Galton with the first goal just before the half-hour mark. Blundell managing to get a goal from that. Hannah Blundell, well done. And then Ella Toom with a goal to round it off and making sure that she gets the vital goal that stopped any momentum from Birmingham City. Birmingham City will find themselves in a position where they need to get a win, and at one point or another they will be facing Reading. It's going to be a very close game, so every game at the moment at the bottom is a tough one. If they can get the win, brilliant. One of these teams are going to be facing Manchester City at some point, so another game that's going to be big. So at some point we're going to see all three teams needing these wins, getting these wins. Hopefully it does happen. We move on to the Saturday results. Chelsea 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. What a game from this one. Chelsea dominated all the way through. Gave up a needless goal in the second half, but 2-0 before half-time. Thanks to Wrighton and Kerr, before Beth England scored the final goal in the game. Carter in between the Kerr and England goal, but it was an interesting one, 3-1. You kind of know that this is going to be one of those results that Chelsea are now showing the momentum that they need to get up the table. So well done to Chelsea. Unfortunate for Brighton, especially with the fact that they are going to be in the semi-final against Arsenal. But at the same time, they've also got a few tough games coming up. So hopefully Brighton and Hove Albion find their way into the season, and then Chelsea do the same, keeping that momentum going for when they next face a big side or one of the big four. Moving on. And we finally got our final game of the weekend to go. Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 4. So, Aston Villa had Arsenal on the ropes for a long time on this one. They kept it to 0-0 in the first half, and they really worked hard just to get Arsenal to play wide. And they just couldn't go forward. They just literally couldn't go forward, Arsenal. So, in the second half, brought on former Villa player Mana Iwabuchi, and ironically, there were changes in the dynamics as soon as she came on. So, Kim Little with the first goal in the 51st minute, and then there was a massive break in between the next three goals, and that's where Aston Villa had their chances, but just couldn't get them on target. Arsenal did have more possession, but it didn't really make a difference until Iwabuchi got her goal in the 80th minute. McCabe still had to work, but the goalkeeper gifted her the ball, and she just lobbed it over the keeper from about 35 yards. And it was like, oh, I do this every day. And so she should. Hopefully she gets more goals. Hopefully Katie McCabe gets more goals this season. Kim Little rounding it off in the final minute of the game, and hopefully now this shows where Arsenal are going. I'm not so convinced, in a sense of I don't think all the games have been shown where everybody's going for the season. I believe it will be November time when we start to see real momentum coming from those big teams. I feel like that we're going to have to wait a little while longer but to see what games are going to really make a difference to the table. So let's see. Will Arsenal continue their unbeaten streak into November? Or will we see Chelsea, Manchester City, even Spurs now take a position at the top of the table, at the head of the table? Next week, though, you've got to be prepared. Manchester City versus Manchester United. It's going to be a massive game. Let me rephrase that. Manchester United versus Manchester City. So the game is not on the blue side of Manchester. It's going to be on the red side of Manchester. So that's the first game of the weekend, a 1:30 kickoff. Be prepared for that one because it's not a game to be missed. Both teams have had differing starts with Manchester City probably wanting to see where they're at this season and try and get some bragging rights in Manchester as well. So, big game. See if you can get to watch it. We also have Chelsea, Leicester City. Another big game on Sunday. I feel like Chelsea will have the rubber agreement on that one, and hopefully won't be. I feel like Leicester City may have a chance of just going, you know what, we can probably consolidate this one and try and go again against another team, or they might actually go, you know what, we'll try against this squad, and then hopefully we'll show that as champions of the championship, we can compete against the WSL champions. We'll see. Brighton and Hove Albion against Spurs. The next games, big game that one for Brighton. Hopefully they can stop the momentum of Tottenham Hotspur or stop this and try and get themselves another win. Or will Spurs actually can continue where they are, unbeaten as well. See if they can get another win on the road. Reading against Aston Villa. Big game for Reading. Big game. If they can get the win, great. It means that they're off the bottom of the table, and they can now start to think of when is our next result coming? When is our next game coming? Aston Villa, can they put aside the loss of Arsenal and go and get another win over at Reading? That's the question for Aston Villa. It's a big question, but I reckon they'll be ready for it. So another game to watch for sure. Arsenal, Everton. Everton picking up a second win. The momentum is in their favour. Arsenal still unbeaten. Let's see how this one plays out. It's going to be a massive game for the neutral to watch. And then we finally have West Ham United against Birmingham City. Whew! Birmingham City definitely need the win on this one. I don't feel that they've actually scored yet. Oh no, they have. They've scored one, but that's the issue. They haven't scored enough. And with West Ham putting 4 past Leicester City, putting 2 past Manchester City, another City coming around, how many goals will West Ham score this time? Will Birmingham City get themselves on a score sheet, or will they actually win the game? That's another thought pattern. Will they win the game? Let's see what happens. That's the WSL, the FA Cup roundups. Now we move on to the NWSL situation. Big news coming out of the US over the week. And I'm going to change the feeling just a little bit, because it wasn't small. It wasn't just, we're just talking about something that hasn't happened. We're talking about something that has happened quite a lot. And it hasn't been dealt with. So it's almost a case of people in a position of privilege using it and abusing it. And I hate to use those words, but that is exactly what it is. So, with that said, the NWSL took a break this week after there were allegations of, and yes, there's a pause in my throat for a reason. It's tough to talk about. It's tough to talk about because it shouldn't happen. WSL had a situation where a player, or 2 players specifically, were abused in a way where things were said, but also things were done. It's been said before that the NWSL basically kept it hidden from. It's been times where they've just kept it hidden from the world. Things were said to these girls, and it's a term of bullying, but it's also a term of abuse, and it shouldn't be done. And it's one of the players, it's one of the coaches who are in a position where you can go, he's talking about the weight management, he's talking about things that are sensitive to feelings, not just females. Let me just put that out there, not just females. Males will feel this as well. But It's the fact that he was in a position just to encourage and inspire them rather than actually belittle them. Now the question is, did he do this? And at the moment, it's an allegation. But I'm talking about the fact that this is something that's bigger on a grander scale across the NWSL, which has been buried for years, with many others actually saying that this has happened to them, but didn't want to say anything just in case their position on the team was compromised. And at the same time, you had others feeling like they can't just say anything because their position on the squad itself. We're not just talking about the team, the first 11. We're talking about the squad itself being compromised. So hopefully this changes. There is a result of this that is positive for the females. And yes, like many others, I'm going to be somebody who does say I stand with the NWSL players. I stand with them. So I hope everybody gets a chance to have a read of it, have a look at it. I know this was a brief one. It's not something that we should be even reading, but we are, because it continues to happen. And I hope this is where it ends, especially in the NWSL. Yours truly, JBK, signing off. Peace.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com